Bob Vila. Welcome home again to New York City, where our construction project is well underway. Today we're going to spend some time looking at the installation of a skylight up on the roof. Also a new wallboard product from Georgia Pacific that's mildew resistant. And we're taking you on a tour of one of the most exciting loft spaces anywhere in New York, but right here in DUMBO. Stick around. It's good to have you home again. Joining us now is Taki Ferreira, who's a Brazilian immigrant working here in the New York area, and you're our drywall contractor.
Yes, sir.
How many men do you have working for you?
We have about 25 men working for us.
That's impressive. And how big a crew on this job?
We have about, right now we have 4 guys, but as the work goes on, we're going to progress some more guys.
The fast pace of this job is something that's really amazing. Is this typical that there are so many trades all bumping into each other?
Yeah, it's all over the place. Everywhere you go, you got to deal with working together with everybody so you can organize the work.
And we've put in this product from GP that I learned a little bit about just last week when we had Thad Goodman from the company coming out to explain some of the terms. You've worked with it before, right?
Yes, I did.
You can either put a skim coat on it
or you just can tape on the unions or whatever is required to.
Tape and compound.
It's always a smooth surface.
Let's watch. Now, Thad, I want to learn a little bit about the properties of this product, because we're all used to gypsum board, and this has a name of its own, right?
Yeah, this is called our Dens Armor product. It's a new interior wall panel that we've produced at Georgia Pacific.
Yeah.
And it's unique in the sense that on the back of it is that it's got a fiberglass back on it. And the inorganic glass mat resists mold and mildew in the cavity where we tend to have the most moisture problems. And it cuts and scores just like regular drywall.
What does that do for us?
Well, the theory being that mold and mildew has a tendency to grow on the softest material possible. If you think about the plywood that we talked about earlier, that's a product that's very hard, and it's hard for it to grow on that. But paper, drywall paper, is all made from recycled gypsum, recycled paper, basically cellulose. It's like dessert for mold. So basically what you're looking at is a great opportunity for mold to grow on it. And what we've done in the cavity of the wall, where you tend to have the most problems because it's dark and any kind of moisture will promote the growth of that mold, basically what we've done is we've removed that food source for it.
You put in an inorganic fiberglass surface.
Exactly.
And then this is the surface that we'll be finishing off. All right, well, let's put one in place. Do we have to make a cut?
Yeah, let's make it.
We're going to put this one on the closet partition. And of course, the question I have is, does it cut as easily as regular board?
Cuts and scores just like regular drywall. That's the nice thing about it. It can also finish like regular drywall.
So the fiberglass on the back doesn't make it tougher to split?
No.
No, you're right. Okay, now this piece should fit right into our walk-in closet. I spoke too soon. There we go. Okay.
That's the unique thing about it, because it has the opportunity to cut and score, and then you screw it up exactly the same way.
And you'll be butting it up into our inside corner here.
Exactly.
It's nice and plumb.
Pretty loose here.
And it fastens just the same. Of course, it's a little noisier. Let me ask you one question about finishes. Is this meant to just have tape joints?
You can tape it. The nice thing with the paper on is that you can tape it like regular drywall and you can finish it to the same level. One of the other unique qualities about it is the fact that in most hotels, oftentimes you'll have vinyl over this. The mold has a chance to grow because moisture transmits from one wall to the other. So we get the opportunity to stop that protection. Stop that with the protection from the inorganic glass mats from the back side.
So it makes a lot of sense in commercial applications.
In commercial applications too, certainly. Also, we have a one-coat veneer system that you can put over this, which in this area of the country is very popular with the blue board. But we've got a system that we've developed where you can actually put our Dens coat over this product itself.
So you can put a full skim plaster coat over it?
Absolutely.
Terrific. Thanks, Thad. All right, well, we're back in the master bedroom here, which is what, Chris, 10 by 12?
About 10 by 12 feet.
Very ample New York size. And I guess this is what they call a pizza.
A pizza.
I've never really done it before, but the whole idea here is that you're mixing the plaster with the joint compound 50-50, and so you're creating a type of plaster that's going to set up more quickly.
Dries faster.
So the application we're doing, even though you can kind of skim coat the whole room, involves mostly a tape and skim coat area over the joints, which goes more quickly. Everything here is going very quickly. So we wait a couple of minutes until it absorbs the moisture, and then you mix it all up together. Now, Christopher, didn't we have 2 windows when we started out in this room?
Right. Originally, we had 2. The architects bricked this out so that we could have a wall just to put the bed and eventually some sconces on here as well.
Yeah, and that one faced really up against another brick wall.
Exactly.
outside
Just
there.
looking out to the other building.
Right.
So what we did is we substituted by installing a 4x6-foot skylight in the ceiling.
Which gives you lots of daylight.
Lots of daylight in here.
And in fact, we got together with Gino, our general contractor, last week to see how they installed the Wasco Skylight. All right, we're up on the roof and it's a hot day in Brooklyn. Hey, Dino, you got this all set to go? Mm-hmm. This is the rough frame, Chris.
Yep.
For what is your kind of your rectangular shaped Wasco Skylight.
Right. This is custom made 4x6-foot skylight. And basically, we're just slapping it onto this curb mount. These come pre-welded, pre-glazed. You know, they're delivered to the site, and basically we just pop it on here, put some flashing on, and we're
Let's
ready to
lift
go.
it up and put it in place, see what it looks like. 'Cause
Okay.
there's nothing like covering up the. One more man over here. They're not light.
Put it down. Let it go, Chris.
Okay.
But they're very handsome.
There you go.
Yeah. Now the inner curb, which you can see from up here, is a condensation curb.
It's a gutter, a
Yeah,
condensation
it's like a gutter, exactly.
Right. So
Right, that groove right in there, so that if you ever do have any kind of condensation, it gets collected in there. You don't have to worry about it dripping down your
Exactly.
plaster surfaces. And I don't know what these cost these days. Any idea?
These are running around $1,000.
Up around $1,000.
For something this size.
And we don't have
but
the
it can
flashing.
go upwards, depending on how elaborate you get.
Yeah. Now the flashing will be.
The flashing gets applied from the inside, hanging down, and underneath the rubberoid roof, which is what's going down for the final version.
The finished roof up here is going to be a rubber roof.
Right, rubberoid membrane.
And eventually we might even build a little wood deck.
We'll see what happens.
Well, let's go back downstairs. Thanks, Dino. Yeah, no, that will make a big difference. A skylight in a small room like this with just one window
Really opens up the room.
really opens up the
Yeah.
room. Now, what kind of glass is it?
Well, this one is a low-E argon-filled glass,
Okay.
so it's energy efficient.
Yeah, low emissivity glass means
Exactly.
you're not going to lose too much of your heat out the skylight.
Right.
And when they finish plastering in here, they'll just put the wallboard up right over the edges of the curb. It'll
Right,
look
cover all that up. Exactly.
sleek and architectural. Good. Although I'll tell you, Chris, he's putting that skim coat on really heavy. Do you think it'll dry out quickly?
Yeah, well, the benefit of using this mixture is that it dries out twice as fast. And, you know, we're working right now, the beginning of August, it's so humid outside, that's really of importance. We can get these guys in and out, get everything primed, and on to the next step.
What kind of primer are they going to put on it?
I'm using a flat latex primer.
Great. Around the corner from our project is the Walentas building with its famous clock tower, named for the family that redeveloped it and many of the other buildings here in Dumbo, down under the Manhattan Bridge overpass. Let's go up and meet Jane Walentas and check out the view from the best seats in the house. Holy moly! This is something else. How'd you get so lucky?
We were here early, Bob.
Yeah. Is this
like that
Tiffany?
too, huh?
I
Yeah,
like
that is Tiffany.
Yeah, that's a Tiffany light.
It is.
Of real glass. Well, this has got to be the most extraordinary view anywhere in Dumbo. As you say, you got here first, so you got the pick of the litter.
We did.
Yeah.
It is fabulous.
We are just under the clock, and it's what, the 15th story?
Yeah.
And we've
15th
got
floor.
the most magnificent views of the Brooklyn Bridge to the left and the Manhattan Bridge to the right, the Empire State Building way off in the distance, and all of New York just laid out. Boy, I wished I'd gotten here early. How long have you lived in the loft?
Thrill. 4 years.
But you and David have been involved in developing these buildings
Yeah,
for over 20
years.
Over
yes,
20 years.
yes.
Yeah.
But it wasn't residential. You couldn't live here until 4 years ago.
I see. What did it look like before you started redoing it?
It was just totally raw space. It was raw concrete, no wood floors, no wood trim. It was
Nothing.
pretty rough. Yeah.
Because there were, I mean, these buildings were used always for industrial purposes.
Yes,
They
yes.
made a lot of corrugated boxes and
corrugated
stuff.
cardboard, and then
Yeah.
the building was made. Gum tape was made in the building most recently.
Really?
Before.
Well, they were all designed and built to carry heavy loads because this is all
Yeah.
concrete.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing you painted it all white, but you can see wherever you look at the lines, it's early form work. The forms to pour the concrete were made out of boards. And everywhere you look up here, you see the straight lines of the ghosts of the boards, which I think gives it so much visual interest.
We think so.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
love
it really
it's
makes
great.
it wonderful. And the windows themselves at either end, these half-round windows, they're ancient designs. They're thermal windows. The terme, the thermal baths in Rome, had windows like this. And I just think the whole thing is superb. Now, obviously, it's very quiet in here, so you've reglazed the whole space,
Yes,
right?
yes, it's all double glazed windows.
And
It
you
is
just-
quiet.
It is quiet.
Yeah, no
'cause
problem.
Many of the loft buildings that are this close to the bridges and the like are a little bit noisy. What about these lions?
They're fabulous. They were made by Fisk, a manufacturer in upstate New York.
In the
Manufactured
19th century?
19th century, and they were made for a brewery upstate. We bought them out in Bridgehampton from
Cast iron lions. You got to have them in your loft,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
No elephants? Actually,
We have
I
a
see
lot of
elephants all over
elephants.
the
We
place
have-
now that you
we
look
have
at
a lot
it.
of
They're in the
elephants.
cushions, and of course we're in Dumbo, and there's even one that's the
Yeah.
real Dumbo on the floor back there.
We collect them, and people
Yeah.
give them to us. It's fun.
Now,
Yeah.
Jane, the kitchen, you got to have this kind of a kitchen if you're in the loft. Tell me about the kitchen design, because
I love the kitchen design.
It's very clean.
I find it easy to live with.
Yeah.
Keep things pared down. We had a house out in Southampton, Long Island, that
Yeah.
Ward Bennett designed. And
Ward Bennett was the early industrial designer, right?
He was the granddaddy of high tech, actually.
Right.
And he had an open kitchen in that house that we bought in Southampton.
Yeah.
And I lived with that kitchen, and I loved it. And ever since, I've done open shelving like this.
But that's very nice with the
Yeah.
glass and the stainless. And what's this material?
This is slate. Sometimes I use it as a chalkboard.
Yeah, kids can play on it.
I like it. I like the smoothness and the patina.
Well, it's a very
Yes.
sleek and urban
Yeah.
look. I like
Yeah.
that too.
Thanks.
I guess that would be Marilyn.
That's Maryland.
And that would be Warhol. How'd you get so lucky? You've got 10 of them, huh?
Yeah, we were early with Warhol as well.
Were you? They're from what, the 60s?
The 60s, yeah. And this was the original set of serigraphs. There were 10 in the set. And this is the first time we've been able to keep them all together, though.
You got to have a loft.
Yeah, right.
Right.
That's why we moved here. No, I'm
Right.
kidding.
Well, how else could you display so many of them? Yeah.
So it's great to see them all hung together.
Right,
Because they were
fabulous.
always spread out, some in my husband's office, some
Right.
at home.
They're
So
stunning.
We're lucky that that worked.
And you can have your pool table out where you can play
Lot of
anytime you
fun
want
here.
to, huh?
Yeah,
Now, this looks to be a real American antique.
it is.
Late 1800s.
It is.
Where'd you get it?
We got it at Blatt, downtown Manhattan.
Oh, I
Blatt's
know them.
Do you?
That's
Yeah,
the place
yeah.
for the pool table.
And when we
yeah.
bought it, it was all in pieces,
Yeah,
actually.
Yeah.
Because they have a big warehouse.
They have a
full.
warehouse full of them
And then they put it together
dismantled.
for you.
Yeah. Well, God bless and good
Thank
luck.
you.
It's a great
Thanks
place.
very much. It was
Yeah.
good to have you up here.
Thanks.
Welcome to Dumbo.
Thanks. Back out on the sidewalk, I thought we'd take a minute and look at some of the stuff that has to be done to the front facade at ground level. This, I mean, some brickwork has already been done here, which is not a great match. I understand they're going to be doing a little bit of tinting, but there's a lot of structural work that has to be repaired here. We need a structural engineer to assess the condition of things. The original commercial doors that are probably a century old have been yanked out. We've got the openings just closed in with plywood, but the whole front facade of the building is essentially being held at 4 points, and there's a big timber that spans them. The 4 points in the middle really are just 2 brick piers, and this one in particular has twisted over quite a bit. If you put up a level up against it, you'll see that it reads way out of plumb, almost 2 inches and 8 feet. And I don't think we can really leave anything like that when we're doing this much work. But right now, I thought we'd talk with Cas Stachelberg, who's over here with Chris Vila, talking about the condition of the brick. So, Chris, what have you found out?
Well, Cas was actually just about to tell us about the bricks.
Chris, we've got a couple different kinds of brick actually down here across the ground floor, and they tell the story of the building. We've got the original brick here, this high-quality brick with very thin joints, butter joints, that frame out the exterior of the openings. And these date to the original construction of the building. Then
When it was a residence.
When it was originally a residence. And when it was converted to commercial use sometime in the third quarter of the 19th century, these piers were inserted and incorporated in with the ground floor storefront infill. And you can see the distinction in the brick quality. It's pretty clear this is a very common brick, and the joint sizes are much fatter than in the brick and joints on the outer piers.
So there's really a clear line between the old and the new, what was added on when this went out of residential.
It's very distinct. You can see the real story of the building played out here across the ground floor.
What about the stairs? Are these original?
These are not original. These are also part of the building's conversion to commercial use. They're a sandstone, a bluestone sandstone. And typically what happens with this building material is it begins to delaminate.
Well, look at it over
crack.
here.
Yeah, it's in bad
and
shape.
that's exactly what's happening. This was inserted probably for the entry for the commercial use, and was just basically inserted right into.
So do you think it replaced what the original front door was, front door stoop?
I think the front door probably was down at the other end of the other end of this ground floor here, and you can actually see this sandstone, brownstone sill, which very possibly was part of the original landing for a low stoop that would have been part of the residence. It probably was been cut back or
This
relocated.
one's ready to just fall out, isn't it?
Yeah, I think part of the reconstruction when they did the commercial infill, they just used some of the old pieces and jammed it in, and you can see this brick panel.
Great detective work.
Exactly.
Thanks, guys. We're running short on time. Come home again next week. We'll be up on the roof. We're going to be putting in a steel railing for the roof deck. We're also looking at the head house construction, which is mostly glass with a fantastic door. We'll be installing HVAC equipment in a boiler up there, and inside one of the apartments, a beautiful Bellawood pre-finished floor. Till then, I'm Bob Vila. It's good to have you home again. Visit bobvila.com for everything you need to get the job done right. You'll find Home Again highlights, interactive tools for planning your next project, and helpful how-to articles for every room in your home. bobvila.com, the ultimate home site.